Hey, what's up, everybody? Deer Hunter DVM coming back at you again. Want to make some commentary on a thread that I saw on bowhunting.com about wearing gloves and field dressing whitetails and why it's, just why I think it's a talking point here. This thread was put up on their social media site, and the amount of people commenting on it that gloves are for pussies. It just blows me away how basically ignorant a lot of hunters are on the matter of trying to protect yourself while you're field dressing animals, and what they can carry to you in the form of what's called zoonotic diseases. As a veterinarian, we are steeped in knowledge base on types of bacteria and viruses and parasites that can be zoonotic to human beings. And whitetails are certainly one of those animals that can carry a few things. If you look at my finger on the end, that guy is short. I don't have an end of my digit because I got an infection in it, a random, weird, strange fungal infection years ago, certainly from either A, patient of mine, or B, a deer that I had field dressed with no gloves, regardless of the causative agent. That finger most certainly got that infection from an animal, definitely. I had to have it amputated, and it was in my bone structure, actually. It made me really sick, to the point where I had some pretty serious health complications with it. So not only do I speak from a knowledge base, acquired through, college and study, but I also speak from firsthand experience, pardon the pun. Don't make the same mistakes I made. So there are several types of zoonoses that deer can carry that humans can certainly get. First things on the list that can be really detrimental to health of human beings is tuberculosis, and thankfully my home state, Illinois, is a TB-free state, and most states in the union are now. So that is much less of a concern unless you're in a state that has had some TB history, typically up north. But in that regard, we could talk about CWD and the potential for carryover into human beings. And field dressing animals is not one area of contact that typically creates a potential for Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease or anything strange in the prion realm that can get into human tissue. It just doesn't occur. So take CWD off the list. That's a total waste of time talking point, not going to happen in most normal field dressing scenarios. That being said, there are some less pathogenic bad guys to watch for, but that certainly is not to undermine their level of seriousness. Leptospira is actually one that I concern myself the most with whitetails and field dressing. Leptospires, little spirochete bacteria, can infect whitetails, and whitetails are known as a reservoir host for such of a bad guy, but leptospires can get into abraded or cut skin. It can also create a splashback effect, and if you get any of the contaminant in your eyes, when you're pulling guts out or some urine can splash into your eyes, typically it can be spread through urine and blood, and that's typically how mostly urine in most cases. But at any rate, leptospires can get into your skin through damage into your blood, into your tissue. Like you say, you cut your finger and it can soak up through it. It's a serious deal, and it can cause fulminant renal failure in human beings and really kill people. So leptospires are something to be considered, especially when you're field dressing whitetails. But they're not the only animals out in the woods to carry it, and that's a discussion for another time. Lepto, again, probably my number one that I would be concerned about. And then there's a bunch of GI bad guys that deer can carry. And you'll hear guys say, well, I never nicked the gut. Bullshit. We all do. We've all done it. Don't bullshit yourself. But if you get some fecal oral contamination or fecal cut on your skin or hand contamination, you certainly can get disorders of zoonotic capabilities, things like salmonella, E. coli, you can see Cryptosporidium, you can see Campylobacter, you can see Giardia, a handful of other enteric pathogens that typically can get transmitted to human beings that way. So you don't want all that shit. And secondarily, by and large, we talk about bacterial bad guys now. Animals have the capacity to carry certain types of strep and staph bacteria that we can get as well. So it's just good common sense to just put some goddamn gloves on your hands and maybe some OB. So what I use OB sleeves, obstetric sleeves that are typically going up cows' butts when I'm preg checking them, right? But on the end of those OB sleeves, I will put a latex glove over the top of those just to kind of help mash down all the extra sleeve fingertips and give me a little bit more dexterity in my fingers, especially that guy. But I think like double gloving like that is a good idea. It gives you more dexterity in the cavity of the animal itself. It also kind of helps you watch out for sharp objects. If you nick one glove, well, you got the other one as backup. But again, that's something you need to worry about in whitetails is there potential for broken bone slivers in my animal? Is there potential for a broadhead that might cut me in that animal? Those are all, and your knife. You always have to be very cognizant of your knife safety. A lot of people use big, long pig sticking knives for field dressing. I just don't find that to be the case of need at all. I will use a knife that's about 4 inches long, not super big. I think the overall, and I'm talking blade length there, I think the overall length of my field dresser is about 5 1/4. It's super light, super small, and you don't have to have a great big Jim Bowie pig sticker to get it done. The longer and bigger the knife, the more likely you are to harm yourself with it, and to a greater degree. So that's my take from a veterinarian's perspective on why we should be wearing gloves while we're field dressing whitetails. And you'll hear guys all the time, well, hell, I've done it 30 some years and never had a problem. Take it from me and Pedro, right? Animals can give you shit that can kill you. And I thankfully dodged the bullet there, figuratively speaking. But take it from my firsthand experience, pardon the bad pun, just protect yourself, man. It's simple. You can wad up one of those OB sleeves and a couple of latex gloves and literally fit it inside a tobacco can is what I do. I throw those in a little chew can, put some tape around it, and it's in the bottom of my pack. That way when I shoot one, I can field dress him on the spot and keep myself pretty clean. So take that with a grain of salt. If it doesn't work for you and you don't want to be a glove wearer, don't wear them. But I'm not trying to vilify the body of the whitetail, thinking it can give me all kinds of badness. There are a few things that it can give me, but none of them are really good if you get them. So just do your best to protect yourself, and I'll catch you guys on down the road. Have a good rest of your day.